and Michael Clark Duncan, both sitting in bathtubs next to each other with cloths over their eyes. Jack Warden in a butler suit walks in and says, "Master Bruce!" West.
"What is it, Alfred?"
Warden. "Commissioner Gordon just called. He said he put the signal up almost an hour ago." West.
"Well, Dick and I here were just trying to enjoy a nice bath. Okay, ready, Dick?"
Duncan.
"Damn right, homie. Let's go tear some niggas up."
Da-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na, Batman. West is Batman. Clark Duncan is Robin. Shirley Nielsen is Commissioner Gordon at the police station. West.
"What seems to be the problem, Commissioner?"
Nielsen.
"It appears that the Joker is spreading Vietnam misinformation."
West.
"What is he saying?"
Nielsen.
"He's saying that the spread of communism to Vietnam has an extremely negligible effect on the normal everyday lives of Americans, and that sending young men drafted against their will leads to tens of thousands of unnecessary American deaths and hundreds of thousands of unnecessary mental and physical injuries."
West.
"That's insane. If Vietnam falls, who's to say what will happen to,"
takes out a map,
let's see, Laos or Cambodia?
Clark Duncan.
"We finna fix this shit, right, Batman?"
West.
"That's right, Robin. We will put a stop to this."
Cuts to West, Duncan, and Robin Williams as the Riddler at Riddler's lair. West.
"Okay, the jig is up, Riddler. We know you're helping the Joker spread Vietnam disinformation. Where is he?"
Williams.
"You're American, right, Batman?"
West.
"Of course."
Williams.
"Well, why do you support the powers that be as they blast you with propaganda about the evil of the spread of communism, when really the only thing at stake is the international market share of American business conglomerates?"
West.
"Where's Neil Young when you need him?"
Duncan grabs William and says,
"We're going to get to the bottom of this."
Shows West and Duncan have Williams tied up in a chair in the lair. West.
"Okay, Riddler, tell me this. If we don't stop the spread of communism in Vietnam, we run the risk of it spreading to,"
takes out a map,
let's see, Malaysia or Indonesia.
Williams. Who gives a shit? They all hear laughter in the background. Heath Ledger as the Joker approaches them. Ledger. "Hey, Bruce. I see you've become progressive with your new Robin." West.
"Dr. King had quite an effect on me. Anyway, what are you up to this time, Joker?"
Ledger laughing.
"Don't you see, Batman? You and I know that the military-industrial complex spent a lot of R&D on the American military machine since World War II. And if the United States doesn't engage in a full-scale war soon, that's going to be a sunk cost for a lot of military contractors."
West.
"You can't screw with them, Joker. Our national GDP numbers won't be as impressive in comparison to the Soviets if the government doesn't execute a lot of private military contracts."
Joker. Exactly.
"If the United States GDP is only 1.2 trillion instead of 1.4 trillion by 1973, communism will continue to spread."
And takes out a map.
"Let's see, even Bangladesh or even Bhutan will succumb. Not soon after. The entire American empire will crumble at my feet."
West.
"Nice try, Joker. I know you're falsely claiming a lot of misinformation. Robin and I are true American patriots, and we will let nothing stand in the way of continuous improving market share for U.S. companies in third world farming countries."
West and Ledger begin fighting. Whack. Bam. Boom. After 20-30 seconds of fighting, Michael Clark Duncan takes out a gun and shoots Ledger, who falls down. West.
"Oh my God, Robin, you killed him. Where on earth did you get the idea to shoot him to death?"
Duncan.
"Well, I grew up in Chicago." Live from Tom's phone, we're not alive! It's Saturday Night Live, starring an ever-evolving cast that is unionized and refuses to allow their names to be mentioned until their demands are met. Musical guest, Janis Joplin, and your host, Richard Nixon. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard Nixon.
Applause, applause, applause.
Thank you. I appreciate the support. My understanding is that I'm the fourth former American president to host this program. Of the first three, two have had statues removed, Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln, and the other one, Alec Baldwin, has the dubious distinction of looking like that actor who accidentally shot his cinematographer, Millard Fillmore.
Cuts to Alina Hutchins behind the camera giving a thumbs up. Nixon.
So, despite having resigned the presidency, I somehow seem to have the best legacy among the four of us. Some spirits still engage me and ask why I resigned. I tell them the powers that be told me it was that, or I had to go be in a parade in Dallas. Now, for matters of national security, I don't want to get into details about the specifics of any past or current hot-button issue. After all, I'm a politician, not a journalist. Speaking of journalists, I'm sure you remember Woodward and Bernstein.
Applause, applause, applause. Nixon.
Okay, not too much applause now. Anyway, I presume they believed in seeking the truth, and therefore justice, when they investigated the scandal of some Zach Galifianakis type breaking into a hotel room. Boy, if not for that, maybe I only would have won 45 or so states instead of 49. Where would I have been if not for Mr. Galifianakis? Anyway, these two men have been hailed as heroes, and my legacy has been denigrated by that whole situation. Yet, when I look out at America and the greater world today, I see a lot of people covering their faces in masks, which may or may not be quite an ironic allegory for what is really going on with the COVID pandemic. Now again, I'm not saying on the record that there is anything untoward occurring with the spread of COVID and the response to it. However, I do laugh in contempt at the media, the brave souls who fought against me, the supposed big bad wolf, as they now scramble to cover up a whole bunch of loose ends from the last few years, citing misinformation and allegations being unfounded and falsely claimed. Where was all that misinformation talk to shut down Woodward and Bernstein? I mean, the term deep throat isn't exactly politically correct. Anyway, I challenge my dear friends, Woodward and Bernstein, to investigate the strange coincidence that there was a military games in Wuhan in late October 2019, just as the pandemic hit. I challenge them to investigate Event 201 from 2019 as to whether anything was said at that event that tipped their hand as to having foreknowledge of what has occurred since. I would also challenge them to investigate University of North Carolina Dr. Ralph Barrick's ties to, quote, gain-of-function research, where he literally created strands of coronavirus that could infect humans, ostensibly to find cures to diseases that otherwise didn't exist, as well as his personal ties to the Wuhan lab. Further, I'd ask Woodward and Bernstein, or any other journalist who wants to be in a future social studies book, to investigate the application of the March 2020 stimulus bill and how it doled out money to healthcare providers based on what the healthcare providers alleged any particular patient to be suffering from. Further, I'd ask Woodward and Bernstein, or their progeny, to investigate the mail-in voting numbers in the swing states, particularly Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Nevada, and how much of a higher percentage they were than usual, and why, and to investigate how much those male voting numbers skewed more Democratic than male voting numbers ever historically had before. And finally, I'd ask them to investigate what companies have profited from their vaccines having been touted as the cure to this pandemic, and to whom they've given political donations to in the last few years. And if all you brave and rebellious liberals who love claiming that conservatives are evil and are not the good guys, if all you open-minded liberals let all of these smoking guns go, just know that the spirit of Richard Nixon knows you're all a bunch of pussies. Anyway, we have a great show tonight. Janis Joplin is here as we take another little piece of her heart. Now, baby. We'll be right back.